A very warm and pleasant good afternoon to one and all. Welcome to LawSikho's thorough newspaper analysis for June 6th and 7th, 2024. Now, let us start with the today's editorial section where we'll be speaking about women in leadership position. Then, as per the schedule, we will be discussing about some news update and lastly, the legal news update of the day. When we speak about the editorial section, over the years, fewer and fewer women in India are joining the workforce. In 2004, the employment rate for women was at its highest, with 35% of them working. But by 2022, it dropped to 25%, and when it comes to 2024, it dropped by 26.8%. A stricter definition used by Center for Monitoring the Indian Economy found that only 10% of working age women were employed or looking for work in 2022. Now, coming up to the progress in promoting women to senior and leadership roles has slowed down. From 2016 and then from 2019, it took 4 years for each percentage point increase in women representation in senior position. Certain sectors like oil, gas, mining, construction, manufacturing has the lowest female leadership representation, while others like accommodation and food services, financial services, retail, technology had a moderate representation. Now, when we discuss about this particular whole scenario, the first question that comes up here is, what are the factors which are impacting the progress? So the cultural belief like women being caregivers in a national job crisis worsen gender disparities. Limited job options discourage women from working. If women aren't included in the workforce, it's a problem for the growing population. Women have less access to resources and face pay gaps. Career breaks for family duties can lead to skill gaps as well. Women need more support and mentorship to advance in their careers. Now, what are the other gaps? One is the enforcement of regulatory measures is crucial to bring about meaningful change in promoter gender equality in leadership position. By rigorously enforcing this regulation, authorities can hold accountable those who perpetuate gender discrimination. One of the persistent challenges in advancing gender diversity is leadership in leadership is the limited pool of qualified women candidates. So one of the major thing is to have a qualification, which is women's educational and professional attainment. This remains gap in the representation of women in leadership position. To address this issue, efforts are needed to foster the development and advancement of women in diverse fields, which will provide mentorship, support networks, and implement strategies to mitigate biasness in talent selection and promotion. By addressing these challenges, organization can tap into a broader talent pool and harness the full potential of women leaders to drive innovation and success. Now, when we talk about the problem, we also speak about the solution. So, legal compliance mandate that women directors on board under Companies Act 2013, and the consequence of it was that the regulatory authority have imposed fine on 507 companies for non-compliance, mainly listed ones. Encouraging shared parental leaves and flexible work arrangements, strict enforcement of regulations for women board representation, and investment in skill development and mentorship program are vital for women's overall economic participation and development. So India has seen notable women who have occupied leadership position and served as inspirations to the nation. Despite the advancement made, there remains considerable work to be done in empowering and elevating women in leadership role. Collaboration among organization, policymaker, and society as a whole is imperative to establish a more inclusive and equitable environment conducive to the success of women. Now, coming up to the national news, Maldives banned Israeli passport holders. So the Maldives says it will ban Israelis from entering the country known for its luxury resort, with the office of president making the announcement as public anger rises over the war in Gaza. Now, Israeli government says Israelis should avoid going to Maldives. If Israelis are already there, they should think about leaving because it might be hard for Israel to help them if something goes wrong. Gopal Subramaniam becomes full tenant at 3 Verulam building. So senior advocate Gopal Subramaniam has become full tenant and member of 3 Verulam building barristers chamber. Subramaniam has also appeared in the number of landmark cases concerning the law of arbitration in India. Subramaniam has been an associate member of 3 Verulam building since 2013. He has also called a call to the Bar of England and Wales as a member of Grey Inns in 2021. Siddhalinga Pattanashetti wins a Gudleppa Hallikeri Award 2024. And the award recognizes people who are doing big things for literature, society, or helping others. It's named after Gudleppa Hallikeri, a famous freedom fighter who shared Mahatma Gandhi's beliefs. Nokia and Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya collaborate on 5G and 6G research. So for research on 5G and 6G, two institutions have collaborated together. The research targets include air, land, and sea transportation, use cases, as well as standard development, smart factory automation, and AI generation labs. India creates world record with 64.2 crore people voting in Lok Sabha. Addressing a press brief, the CEC Rajiv Kumar said over 68,000 monitoring teams and award 1.5 crore polling and security personnel were involved in the world's largest electoral exercises. So it has been created history with around 64.2 crore people voting in the Lok Sabha elections. Priyanka Jarkiholi, youngest tribal woman to win from an unreserved seat. So Congress Priyanka, now one of the youngest MPs in parliament, has won the seat from the party called as Congress, and her age is just 27. Priyanka holds an MBA and is a director of several companies in the state, including Satish Sugar Limited, Balgam Sugars Private Limited, and Nature Nest Horticulture, among. Coming up to the sports one, T20 World Cup, Rohit Sharma becomes India captain with most T20 wins. Rohit becomes India's most successful T20 captain. He went past MS Dhoni's win tally as captain in T20. Rohit now has 42 wins as captain in 55 T20s, going past Dhoni 41 in 73. Bank Clinic, your guide to complaint resolution. A bank clinic is an initiative by the All India Bank Employees Association to help customers addressing their grievances amid rapid expansion in technology and a series of Reserve Bank of India guidelines on retail banking. A customer can fill out the details of his or her complaint, create a ticket, and receive a reply in 5 working days on the remedies available and information of what the RBI guidelines prescribe on that matter. Haryana government rupees 10,000 crore project to combat air pollution. Now this year, it's a 10-year comprehensive project which will be funded by the World Bank, and the project is targeting promoting cleaner vehicles on roads by electrifying public transportation, fleets for intracity and intercity travel. It aims to incentivize the adoption of electric vehicles for private use, especially 3-wheelers and 4-wheelers, taxi. Coming up to the most important day, which is the World Environment Day, celebrated annually on June 5th. Is to pause, reflect, and take action to protect our amazing planet. In 2024 will mark the 30th anniversary as per the UN Convention. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia will host the 2024 Environment Day celebration this year, where the most important topic, drought resilience, desertification, and land restoration, will be discussed. This year, the theme was land restoration, desertification, and drought resilience. South Korea establishes National Space Agency, KASA. Now, the Korea Aerospace Administration will lead the country's space economy. It will be engaged in supporting the aerospace industry ecosystem and fostering challenging and innovative research and development. The country's first lunar lander is planned for 2032. Iceland elects businesswoman Tomasdottir as president. Businesswoman Hella Tomasdottir elected as Iceland's next president. Now, Iceland, which is ongoing president, is Guana Johnson. PM is Bajane Benkin, and capital is Reykjavik. Seoul to suspend military deal amid North Korea's balloon provocation. North Korea has launched hundreds of balloons carried by wind across the border that dropped trash throughout South Korea. South Korea plans to suspend a military agreement signed with North Korea in 2018. Suspending the agreement will pave the way for the South to conduct training near the military border and take sufficient and immediate measures in response to North Korea provocation, the Council said. Slovenia becomes latest EU country to recognize Palestinian state. Now, Slovenia's government endorsed a motion last week to recognize a Palestinian state and send the proposal to parliament for final approval. Slovenia's main opposition party, Slovenian Democratic Party, opposes the recognition. The right-wing party has demanded a referendum on the issue that would delay the vote, but on June 4, withdrew the bid before again filing another. That one was rejected by the parliament. The EU was created by Maastricht Treaty. The treaty was signed to enhance European political and economic integration by creating a single currency. ISRO develops Pravaha software for aerodynamic design and analysis. They have developed a software named Parallel Run Solver for aerospace vehicle aerothermodynamic analysis. The software was developed in ISRO Vikram Sarabhai Space Center. It can stimulate external and internal flows on launch vehicle, wind and non-wing re-entry vehicles. Russian cosmonaut becomes first person to spend 1,000 days in space. So 59-year Russian cosmonaut has become the first person to spend 1,000 days in space, Russian space agency Roscosmos. His current trip to Iceland began on 15 September 2023 when he launched alongside NASA's astronaut Laura A. Hora and comrade Nicole Cup. KASA Summit 2024 and Wildlife Product Trade. So what is KASA Summit? Is a meeting of leaders from Kavango, Zambezi, Trans-Frontier Conservation Area countries. The KASA Summit 2024 highlighted the ongoing tensions between Southern African nations and CITES over wildlife product trade. Coming up to the legal update, which is coming from Supreme Court. Subsequent change in law can't be a ground for condonation of delay. So in a batch of land acquisition cases, the Supreme Court recently observed that subsequent change in law cannot be a ground for condonation of delay. Now, the case pertained to land acquisition process initiated by Delhi government under the Land Acquisition Act 1894 for planned development of Delhi. Now, mere initiation of proceeding under IBC, that is Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, does not bar liability of signatory of check under Negotiable Instruments Act, which is coming from Madhya Pradesh High Court, where the court has specifically stated that merely because of the initiation of proceedings under the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, the signatory of the check cannot escape from his liability under Negotiable Instruments Act 1881. That's all for the today's news update. Thank you so much for joining in. Take care.